How was your day today? Hello, everyone. We are Why So Curious, and welcome to our podcast series that often begins with why questions, rooted in the first principle thinking method. This approach offers you multidimensional perspectives on various life issues. To truly embrace a vibrant spirit, let's dive into this episode. A dead forest, yet it remains green within me. A living person, yet as if they have passed away. How do you understand these two lines of poetry? When I say that part of the reason why So Curious has persevered until now is because I myself want to leave something behind, a mark to signify that I was here in this life. My friend Alex replied, "So attached to this life are we, I just want to disappear without a trace. I even thought about not putting my name on my tombstone." I was startled to realize that while every other teenage girl in our class loved taking photos, keeping journals of daily stories, writing letters to their future selves, vlogging, or coming up with unique nicknames, Alex never took pictures or tried to capture any moment of their life. Why? They'd say, "It's pointless. A boring, empty life. I don't want to keep any memories with anyone. When I die, I won't even have a funeral photo. Just cremate me and be done with it." I never imagined the reason Alex always avoided my camera or constantly sat isolated, limiting contact with others, was to prepare for a departure without a trace. Behind that tough, nonchalant, and somewhat negative exterior, Alex harbored a deep weariness. They hid something long and drawn out, like the adult nursery rhyme Nguyen Trong Dao wrote, "There is a person who lives yet as if they have passed away." In truth, we've all experienced this feeling, a vague, directionless emptiness. We're alive, yes, but in reality, we're just trying to get by. An entire day passes without a single message. Waking up early, but instead you lounge in bed, scrolling on your phone until noon. You feel fine, it's nothing. But at the same time, you also feel not fine. No messages all day. It's been so long since you had a valuable conversation. Your surroundings are filled with empty, superficial words. Hundreds, thousands of friends on social media, yet you always feel alone, like no one understands you. Happy news, no one to share it with. Suffering, no one to cry with. The screen blurs and you don't even know how much time has passed. An ordinary individual, a career going nowhere, a love life at zero. You know a little bit about everything but aren't truly good at anything. Another 6 months go by. You look up, down, left, right, and realize you haven't achieved anything noteworthy. These past years feel like a rough draft of a life, like living on scrap paper. You've gradually lost interest in living, and life seems to be slowly forgetting you. You feel unwell. You visit mental health professionals, but all test results come back normal. You don't suffer from any serious psychological issues. You don't feel exhausted, not sad, but not happy either. Not in despair, but lacking the energy to be enthusiastic about work. You're restless, but not to the point of an anxiety disorder. Your body is perfectly healthy, yet you constantly feel unwell. Sometimes you muster the spirit to start new plans for change, but you can't focus and soon give up. And then you fall back into that cycle, lost, without direction, without motivation. If you exhibit all these signs, it's highly possible you are in a psychological state that Adam Grant, a psychology professor at the University of Pennsylvania, calls languishing. Roughly translated, it's a feeling of weariness. The term languishing was first defined by American sociologist Corey Keyes in 2002. Keyes described languishing as a feeling often overlooked within the spectrum of mental health. Specifically, it can be understood as follows. In psychology, mental well-being is divided into two extremes. On one side is depression, and on the other, flourishing. Flourishing is the peak of happiness. You feel strong, your life has meaning, you control your own existence, and you care for others. Depression, conversely, is the valley of inadequacy. You feel disheartened, exhausted, deny your self-worth, and feel useless. Standing between these two extremes is languishing, a state of weariness that is often easily forgotten, ignored, and unnoticed by people. On a beautiful new day, a flourishing person might wake up and go to work filled with joy. A depressed person would be stuck in bed. But a languishing person would still wake up and go to work, yet feel no appreciation for the beauty of life. Dr. Grant agrees, describing languishing as feeling as if you are merely drifting through each day of your life, viewing your existence through a blurry, fogged-up lens. You haven't fallen into a dark abyss, but you also lack any sense of excitement. You stand in the precarious middle of life, with nothing seemingly awaiting you. What are the common symptoms of this state of emptiness? According to BattleUp, a mental wellness coaching website, people in a state of languishing exhibit the following. First, they feel disconnected and isolated from those around them, even if there are no underlying issues. Second, they are constantly restless but not genuinely anxious about anything. They have difficulty concentrating or remembering, procrastinate, lack motivation, and feel somewhat sluggish. Furthermore, they are not enthusiastic about new tasks or projects. They don't feel healthy, even though they have no physical ailments. They feel unable to describe their emotions and have no expectations in life, as if nothing is waiting for them. To distinguish between languishing, burnout, and depression, BetterUp states that burnout is a work-related loss of energy, often due to an imbalance between work and life or having to do a job you dislike. Languishing, however, is a more general state. You'll find it affects every aspect, every domain of your life. Yet, it's not severe enough to push you into clinical depression. If you visit a psychologist and take a depression test, you will receive a negative result for the illness. Although, overall, languishing does not meet the criteria to be called depression or classified as a mental disorder, this state of weariness does lead to an inner emptiness of the soul, a lack of emotion, meaning, and purpose in life. Individuals in this state will find themselves stagnant, emotionally numb. What makes languishing truly dangerous is that it's not overtly obvious, but it gradually erodes the soul and shrivels the motivation to live, slowly causing us to slide into a swamp of negativity. This accumulated negativity can lead to many detrimental consequences, and what's more concerning is that people aren't yet aware of this particular feeling, making it easy to confuse and hard to find a solution. So, what is the root cause of this state? Where does this emptiness germinate from? The term languishing dominated psychological keywords in 2021, the year the COVID pandemic struck, forcing the entire world into lockdown. People lost many things: jobs, loved ones, wealth, and especially connections with their fellow humans. Being isolated and confined at home gave rise to feelings of lethargy or ennui. However, even without the impact of this pandemic, or even now, as we enter a post-pandemic recovery and development phase, we still fall into this weary state. I believe we can summarize 4 rather blunt reasons: lack of money, lack of love, lack of connection, and lack of recognition. Firstly, why do we say people easily fall into a state of languishing because they lack money? Please note, we are not asserting that everyone who lacks money will experience emptiness, as many famous and wealthy individuals are not immune to this feeling. However, for many, the lack of financial resources is a fundamental reason for their crisis. A money problem can inherently become a problem for everything. Money can be seen as a solid foundation for a young person to dare to pursue their dreams. Many young people are forced to cling to unfulfilling jobs day after day, repeating a monotonous cycle, simply to earn a living. Furthermore, lack of money here isn't solely about banknotes. We're also discussing methods of earning money and what money can provide. It's clear that those who can earn a lot of money often possess vast knowledge, experience, and expertise accumulated over years. Their journeys are undoubtedly filled with interesting stories, and a life with such ups and downs is unlikely to be boring. Moreover, those with money often have power, connections, and the ability to resolve many other issues, so their likelihood of feeling bored is temporarily lower. Secondly, those lacking love also easily fall into emptiness. Lack of love here doesn't refer to sex, but rather the absence of affection and care. Those who receive or have abundant love will view life with a heart full of compassion and fondness. When you look at everything with love, you'll find everything endearing. How could life be boring then? A person without love, who hasn't received love, will also find it difficult to give love to the world around them. Living in a society where the exchange of love doesn't exist, sooner or later, such an individual will lose the will to continue living. Next, losing connection with the world around us and not receiving recognition from peers also makes many individuals feel empty. According to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, 2 fundamental human needs are the desire for connection and recognition. Scientific research published in the journal Personality and Social Psychology Bulletin proves that when people feel distant or excluded from social connections, they tend to exhibit aggression and reduced prosocial behaviors. Once you feel like an outcast in a group, who would want to remain part of it. As for recognition, many might argue that they don't need recognition from others, only self-recognition. However, recognition isn't merely about evaluations or comments from others. It helps you know if you're on the right track and if your efforts are worthwhile. An office worker might try their best to create value for the company, but if their boss and colleagues don't acknowledge their efforts, even a beloved job will eventually wear them down. A child might study hard and achieve great results, but if they never hear words of encouragement from their parents, the day will come when they choose to give up. When we talk about recognition, we're not just referring to a fleeting compliment or a nod. We're talking about a core element with the power to transform not only the work environment, but also the human soul. Studies have shown that when a person feels recognized, they not only work more effectively, but also feel happier and mentally healthier, potentially increasing work performance by 20% and reducing the risk of mental illness by 30%. Think about it. When you finish a task and feel exhausted, suddenly, a genuine compliment from a colleague or your boss, a pat on the shoulder, congratulating you and thanking you for your efforts in the most sincere way, that feeling doesn't just alleviate fatigue. It brightens your mood, creating a new surge of energy that propels you to continue your work journey with renewed faith and motivation. Recognition isn't just a reward. It's a powerful message that your efforts are valued, that you are an important part of the community. When you feel your existence has meaning, that you create value for that community, and that you are acknowledged by the group, you will have the spirit and desire to continue your mission and remain committed to that community. Furthermore, another reason is that people are gradually losing their ability to concentrate amidst the information superhighway of this technological age. The constant scrolling on screens, consuming short content in brief bursts, causes the brain to continuously seek out captivating new bits of information and anticipate even more stimulating content. This explains why you might intend to read a book but abandon it after a few pages, or plan to learn a new skill but grow bored after a few days or weeks. You prepare to sit down to work, only to find yourself scrolling on your phone minutes later. The brain incessantly searches for stimulation, and when it doesn't find it, a feeling of boredom and despondency is easily understood. So, how can we overcome languishing and truly reclaim our zest for life? First, we need to acknowledge the state and name the emotion. Because this state of weariness is easily overlooked, recognizing it is the initial step to solving the problem. Treat this state as a signal for our mental health, indicating that something in our lives isn't right. Then, we can move on to the next steps. Have you ever truly paused and honestly answered the question, "How was your day today?" Many undoubtedly find this question meaningless. When people ask each other, "How are you?" or "How have you been?" many respond, "I'm fine, I'm okay," even if deep down something feels off, but they can't quite pinpoint the problem. Ashley Fetters from The Atlantic notes that questions like, "How are you?" and the reply, "I'm fine, thank you," are the most meaningless pair of phrases, especially during the pandemic, and they carry a deceptive undertone. The person asking might not genuinely care, they're just starting a conversation. And when you say you're fine, you're deceiving not only others but also yourself. Psychologist Dr. Grant calls this toxic positivity, as it pressures you to feel okay, and that pressure is harmful. Instead of saying, "I'm fine," you can honestly say, "Well, truth be told, I'm feeling languid, bored, or empty." Being honest with your emotions will help you shed the toxic facade you've created for yourself. Don't pretend you're okay if you're truly languishing. Next, we should start setting manageable short-term goals to maintain our spirit. Perhaps you've often felt enthusiastic about doing something, only to give up sooner or later. To tackle this, practice the Goldilocks rule, set goals with a controllable level of difficulty. In parallel, train your self-discipline using the 2-minute rule. Within each of us exists a procrastination monkey, and to prevent this monkey from overwhelming our reason, we must apply psychological tricks to conquer it. Finally, try practicing flow to build concentration. According to Corey Keyes, finding a flow that stimulates you is key to developing and boosting mental well-being. This is also what Dr. Grant found most effective in combating languishing. In psychology, flow, or the zone, is defined as a mental state in which you perform an activity with a sense of immersion, hyperfocus, and overflowing energy. You become 100% engaged in the activity and feel exhilarated during your work. To put it simply, You have a deadline for a task in 1 month, but only when a few days remain do you truly focus 100%, pour all your energy into it, and complete it at breakneck speed. Looking back, even you'd be surprised how quickly you solved it. This is often called an adrenaline rush. However, procrastinating until the last minute will exhaust you immediately afterward. By practicing the flow state, you can solve problems more gently and without exhaustion. To practice flow, you can try the Pomodoro technique, while also removing distracting items like phones and toys, putting them out of sight. During the practice of concentration, there are 3 important components to mastering flow that we need to keep in mind. First, clear goals. Second, feedback or reviewing the progress and results of tasks. Third, maintaining a challenging yet balanced difficulty level, adhering to the Goldilocks rule mentioned earlier. In the initial stages of practice, we shouldn't put too much pressure on ourselves if we can only concentrate for short periods. What we need to do is listen to ourselves, follow our body's natural rhythm to gradually improve. From there, you will find this learning process truly fascinating, your work efficiency will increase, and you will achieve your desired accomplishments. I hope these methods can somehow help you overcome the emptiness that is eroding your soul. We will learn together and move forward together, won't we? A dead forest, yet it remains green within me. A living person, yet as if they have passed away. What is death, yet still green? What is life, yet as if it has passed away? Finitude intertwined with infinity and vice versa. Finitude or infinity lies not in physical form, but deep within the emotional and psychological state of affection. The forest remains green even though it is dead, because in the human soul, the forest and its greenness live on living with memories, living with the enduring values it has gifted to human life. Or perhaps the forest also symbolizes love, a value that remains pristine, its life force flowing despite the barren outer shell. People live as if they have passed away because they live, but not truly live with trivial, petty, selfish thoughts, leading a boring, mundane, valueless existence. Then that life has no meaning. I kept thinking about my friend Alex's story. I don't want to keep any memories with anyone. When I die, I won't even have a funeral photo. Just cremate me and be done with it. Cremation means leaving many good things for life, doesn't it? After hearing me reply that, Alex fell silent. Behind Alex's nonchalant, perhaps negative and gloomy actions, I still saw a glimmer of a desire to be loved and a desire to love others. They still had rules for eating and resting to protect their health, because a healthy body would be strong enough to donate organs to others later. Deep down, Alex still held a profound love, a wish to leave something beautiful behind for this life. You are a kind person. You may not want to remember anyone or want anyone to remember you, but I will always remember you.